I'm going to do a little video on starting up and programming a HWAT-ECO-GF. Starting up, it's going to ask you a language, and then it's going to do a self-check. In this case, we do not have a heating cable hooked up here. So it said, is an external contactor used? And if we say no, it says, hey, you have problems. So let's go ahead and hook up that external load. The heating cable gets landed on the outside of the two insides. With HWAT, it's typically going to be 208 volts or 277 volts. Pick that up, drop it in, get the ground landed. Okay, so these two are from the breaker. If you happen to be at 120, this is the neutral side, and these two on the outside are the load or the heat trace. So if we go through that startup again, now we have to back up, get out of here. So it now sees the heating cable, and we see a pipe sensor. We do not see a boiler sensor. Right here are the sensor connections. The boiler sensor is this first one, and the pipe sensor is this second one. If you look at on here, it's a little, my finger's in the way, a little faucet or a little can. The boiler sensor will actually shut the system down if it sees cold. So in a construction application, or when you're in a construction phase of a project, that boiler may not be running. We don't want this thing to shut down on its own. So I always, if I use a sensor at all, I use the pipe sensor. HWAT runs on a duty cycle, so it does not actually need a sensor to function. Because the building's always at the same temperature, and we know what the pipe size and the insulation schedule are from the design, we can run cycle on and off on a duty cycle. So we'll look at that once we get started up. So we're going to say, in this case, we're in the United States. I'm going to say we're using 208 volts. I'm going to just put in our, oops, did it again. Date, month, year. It is right about noon. All right, select saving time. We're going to leave it on, but I always do constant. If it's on all the time, the pipes will always be the temperature expected. Again, in a construction phase situation, you don't necessarily know how that space is going to be used. So if you use constant, best case, you can always come back and change that to one of these other programs which keep it on and off at certain times of the day. So if it's an office building, it would be off all night and then come on in the morning. It does take some time for it to heat up. So I always use constant. 208 volts would be R2. If we had selected 120 volt, this would be HWAT P1, and that would be your only option. Get to here, the default of the maintained temperature, or the temperature your pipe is going to be, is 131. That is typically very hot. Unless I'm told otherwise, I do 115. That is still pretty hot, but it won't do permanent damage. All right, so we've selected the temperature. That temperature I was talking about in the space, we're going to leave at 168. Pipe diameter, 1 inch is pretty typical. We're going to leave all that like that. It says, do you want to start the test program? So it's actually going to run the heating cable. No issues. We're going to stop that. And now we're at the main home screen. When I get here, I usually go to System, Status, And I look at this number right here, load current. If we wait a little bit, we will see this thing kick on. Right now you can see that our pipe sensor is 52. We just clicked on. There's an inrush with self-regulating heated cable. So it starts off at a high inrush and it drops down. So this one started at about 15 amps and it'll probably drop down to all the way down to 5. So we'll go a significant way. If you happen to be commissioning one of these, I wait till that settles out. I take a picture of the screen so that you know that your sensor is working and you know that it was drawing current, and you can see that your ground fault current is well below the 30 milliamp level. Then I go backwards. I get back to the home screen. I wait for it to turn on. Take a picture of that when it turns on, but I also take a picture of this serial number, so I have that in my report. So here we go. We have a setting of 115. This little box is red, meaning it's on. Well, if the customer comes to you and says, hey, that's too hot, you can go here. You can go to water temperature. You can select your temperature, and you can go down. This only goes down so far. Down to 99. I'm not sure why you would want that, but maybe they insulated it too much or something. So you can adjust your temperatures here, go back, home. We'll wait for that thing. See, that's not on. Heating cable's not energized. Once it starts its cycle, now we see that our maintained temperature is now 112. That's pretty much all there is to programming an HWAT-ECO.